Hello everyone, this is Flammy. Welcome back. We're here with another subscriber base review. This is my weekly series where I review your guys' bases on video. This week we are on subscriber base review number 21 and we are doing Town Hall 8s. So stick around to the end and I will tell you exactly how you can apply. But basically follow me on Facebook and Twitter and I'll be sure to tell you when it's happening on there. But full details at the end. Alright, so here we are with the first one, Town Hall 8. We have Morgan here. He's at 1277 trophies. Now let's look here. First thing that jumps out at me is, wow, that's a lot of dragons. Is that like 9-ish dragons? Yeah, 9 dragons, level 2, and then maxing out with archers, it looks like. Very interesting. Yeah, let's talk about army composition for a while, because while this is a subscriber base review, I do talk about a whole lot of stuff, and because your dragons are in your base, they're part of your base review. So, 1277 and having 9 dragons. This is sort of unusual to me, because I really don't think that many dragons are going to be necessary down at 1277 trophies. For example, like I just went in raiding a bit before I started this video, and I mean, I can find bases where there's a lot of unprotected resources, mines, and elixir collectors which are fairly full. I think dragons are both overkill, and they're really slow to train, and they really aren't possibly the right tool for the job in this case. I would think that maybe archer infantry armies or giant infantry, maybe even healer giant, that would be a lot more effective at this sort of trophy count. But you know what? That's that for you. You can have fun with dragons sometimes. Maybe you're just like, you had too much elixir, so you decided to burn them. Maybe you just woke up and you had them all queued overnight. Yeah, let's talk about some other stuff though. So looking at your base, Town Hall 8 looks like a relatively newly Town Hall 8, as you can tell from this Wizard Tower going up to level 3. This Air Defense is going up to level 2, so that's a relatively new one. And it looks like you've already gotten your mortar ups, so your third mortar's up to level 5. Your Dark Liquor Sword is level 2. Do you have a Barbarian King? Do you? I don't see one. Maybe I'm being blind. Last subscriber base review, I was really blind. I didn't notice that there was an Inferno Tower right in front of me the entire time. In my defense, it was blending into both the Town Hall and some torches, but yes, I didn't notice it. It was pretty funny. So let's check for Clan Castle, guys. Couple archers. Okay, you're going to want to fill that up. 3 archers really not going to cut it, either on offense or defense, if you have to deploy those. Just keep requesting. I saw your clan had enough guys that you're going to want to keep those filled up when possible. Yeah, beyond that, let's talk about the actual defenses, like I was sort of starting on. Relatively new to Town Hall 8, I'm predicting, just from the levels of the defenses, but what would the priority be for upgrading? I do like that you're getting the mortars up first. Both getting your first one up to level 5 and then getting them up to level 6, that's good. Getting your other defense up, yeah, that's fine. Get it up to like level 1 or 2 or 3. Don't get it past 3. No need to push it all the way up to 5 like these other ones. I'm sure you got these when you're Town Hall 7, and that's a fine decision. You're working on a Wizard Tower, which is good. This is probably your next Wizard Tower that you just unlocked, so getting it up as well. Level 4 is the maximum at Town Hall 7, so it looks like you actually maxed out before coming up to Town Hall 8, so kudos to you for that. That's always a great decision. Absolutely recommend that everyone does that if you have the opportunity to do so. Cannons in Archer Tower look like every single one of them is level 8. Oh, here's a 7, so that's probably a relatively new one. But yeah, that's good as well. I would leave cannons and Archer Towers both for later, unless you just like can't not get enough gold to start a a Wizard Tower or a Mortar at this particular moment, then yeah, sure, I guess you can go throw your gold at a Cannon or Archer Tower, but generally the priority is going to be both on the Wizards and the Mortars, as well as, of course, getting your new stuff up. That's going to be the first priority. Something which I think is maybe not as good to do is, let's talk about your barracks. So you've got 3 barracks that are all level 9, and then you got 1 that's working on level 10. Interesting decision here. I would generally say that I wouldn't recommend upgrading all your barracks to level 9. It's just not needed. Getting your army camps up, yeah, that's good. But, I mean, these army camps, they should all be level 6 from your Town Hall 7. So, better uses for your elixir might be doing researches, which look like you're doing. And, honestly, there really aren't that many good uses for it. I guess dragons is one big use. Wow, look at all the dragons bunching up. It's a freaking dragon slumber party over here. Oh, man. So yeah, what was I talking about with barracks? So yeah, so I don't think it's really necessary to have your barracks this high level. So say you had like 2 that were like 6 or 7. I guess 6 is sort of low. So 2 of them were a 7, 1 that's 9, and 1 that's 10. The ones that are 7, there's really no downside. You're not going to be generally, I mean, maybe you are because from your army, but I would generally recommend not doing mass dragon all the time. So you really won't need the barracks to be that high of level. If you do plan on doing max P.E.K.K.A, max dragon, whatever, then sure, you're going to have to upgrade them some more. But generally, I mean, if as long as you have like 2 barracks that can make P.E.K.K.A.s, dragons, and healers, each of them, you're not going to be making mass units of those most of the time. So yes, there's that. Of course, you might be proving an exception here, so yes. Talking about layout, probably one of the more important things and what you might be expecting to get from a subscriber-based view. Let's talk about it for the last little bit here. Interesting layout. You've chosen to opt to put certain gold mines inside the walls. You could move these out to have your defenses more compacted, but you know what? I sort of like this layout. It's got 3 storages in here. Wizard Tower can cover most of them. Other 2 storages are both covered as well. I'd probably like to see this Dark Elixir storage covered by a Wizard Tower, but it's not super critical. Most important is keeping this clan castle centralized, so definitely glad to see that. You do have 1 builder's hut down here at the bottom, as you can see here, so that's fine. You don't want to have a builder's hut in the corner if it's like super close to your clan castle, because then they can draw them out by deploying a guy on it. But in this case, because your clan castle is centralized, they won't be able to draw your guys out very easily. And lastly, I will talk about your town hall is outside the walls. That is something I definitely do support. Good decision there. Town hall outside the walls just means you're going to be getting free shields. When you're down at 1277 trophies, that is a fine decision. I'm doing it on both my accounts, which are both Town Hall 8 right now. So yeah, I do approve of that. Alright, that's going to wrap it up for Morgan's Base. Thank you very much for applying, and hope you learned some tips. And everyone else who's watching, hope you guys learned some tips as well. Generally, this is a pretty good base. You've got a well-upgraded base from where you're starting at. And I mean that from you were well upgraded at Town Hall 7 when you moved up to Town Hall 8. So you were at a very good starting position here at Town Hall 8. So good job. I definitely think you're on the good track. On to the next one, guys. Alright guys, here we are with Joshua's base. He is Town Hall 8 as well, as you can see right here. And interesting, he's sort of taking a different approach. It's very square, very, very symmetrical. Yeah, let's talk about the inner base later, but look at the outside. I find this interesting. It's something I don't agree with, and there's sort of different approaches to it, but my policy is I always like to see these outside buildings be as close to the walls as possible. Now, that might seem sort of strange and be like, well, there's no point. They're going to die anyways. Might as well put them out a little bit. You might not be able to tell super easily just from looking at this, but all these buildings sort of spaced optimally so that they can't spawn next to the walls. There's no gaps to spawn nearby. So maybe your goal is to push back things like wall breakers and giants. However, I don't really think that that's very important, and I think that it's actually, by comparison, much more important to keep your guys right next to the walls. And why is this? Well, you don't want any of these buildings to be able to be picked off for free, is my thought on the matter. Basically, I don't want them to be able to do any free damage, and if they are attacking something, I want to make sure my defenses are firing back, and especially as many as possible are firing back. So, for example, this army camp right here, someone could just put 1 archer right here and take this out. This barracks, well, it's actually close enough to this archer tower that archers can't take it out. However, if it was a bit closer, then maybe this cannon could help if there was a barbarian sitting right next to it and smacking it. See where that circle? I'm not sure it could actually hit barbarians if they were right next to it. So that's sort of the goal. They'll see this mortar as well. So yeah, maybe the mortar could hit them as well, but depending on where the barbarians were located, these sort of mythological, imaginary, in-the-mind barbarians that were attacking this barracks, it looks like this mortar wouldn't be able to attack either. But imagine if it was one step this way, right, centralized right here. That could be a lot better and allow all 3 of these defenses to protect that building and potentially cause your enemies to take a lot more splash damage and a lot more damage in general just from individual shots and then the big mortar shots as well. That's sort of just demonstrating why I think that they all should be closer. I think I could pretty much make the same argument for most of these buildings around the side. I'm not going to do it, but that's why I generally think that everything should be close to the walls in general. Let's talk about traps, because you have some interesting stuff going on here with traps. So you've got these double walls right here, 3 sets of them, and then a single open one. 1, 2, and 3. What that tells me is you've got some spring traps in there. If they're not spring traps, I certainly think they should be spring traps. Why would spring traps be great right there? Well, any giants that break in on this top half, really, what would they do? Well, say a giant attacks this archer tower, they bust through the walls, attack the archer tower. What next? They're going to go for the mortar? No, the mortar's behind a wall. This cannon right here, it's open. And they're going to go walk right over that little gap in the walls, and bam, hit that spring trap. At least, hopefully it's a spring trap. And hopefully kill all the giants. Best way to kill giants is always going to be spring traps, so that's going to be your best bet right there, and I do like to see that. Now, you can do some funny stuff with sort of the position of this, so should the spring trap be right here, or right here? Just swap the walls around, it could be one of the way or the other. In this case, you're going to have the wizard tower be able to fire on it. The mortar will be firing on it either way, but say, for example, the range of the mortar stopped right here, you might actually want the mortar to not fire on giants. Say that'd be a mortar that's sort of in the center here. If it could only stop firing right here, you'd want the giant to walk right here. Then they'd stay out of range of the mortar, and the mortar would stay free and hopefully shoot infantry rather than giants. While it does do splash against the giants, there's generally only going to be like maybe 10 giants in one place, maybe 20 maximum. But imagine infantry. Infantry, you can get like 40 guys grouped up without too much difficulty, especially when they funnel through walls, which is why you'd want mortar to not be distracted in that such a situation. So yeah, little fun details like that you can always play around with. Yeah, so spring traps in those three. I certainly hope they are. You can have bombs and stuff in the other ones. That'd be fine. Actually, bombs between these, especially as you move them closer to the walls, is actually really effective. If you have any of these buildings which are... Okay, you don't. But imagine these two buildings where there's only one gap separating them. So one single little 1x1, I guess 1x3 section. Now, if you imagine you put a bomb right here in the middle between it, and the elixir collector and gold mine are next to one another, what happens to any melee units that are walking between the two of them? Goblins, barbarians, etc. Anything that's attacked one and then moves on to the next, hits the bomb, doesn't keep running because it's attacking the next target, and boom, bomb detonates and does damage. Especially effective against goblins, also very effective against barbarians. Also can be effective against archers, but it's not the intended purpose. So yeah, that's interesting as well. Clan Castle in the center, glad to see that, always great. That's probably, I would say if there's actually number one thing to do, is Clan Castle in the center. It's just really, really, really helps. Teslas will be in the center as well. You can see from the massive holes in the base. Maybe some like air bombs, air mines in the center as well. Who knows? You could separate them out as well. The air bombs I always like to separate in case minions, they come with mass minions around the sides. But yeah. You do have 3 air defenses. They're also very low leveled, which is interesting. Level 2, and level 2. Some people might think this is bad. I think this is actually alright. I wouldn't... Level 1s, yeah, maybe that's pushing it. But level 2 or 3, that's alright. You've sort of got these two fairly well protected. And this one isn't quite as well protected, but it's still within the walls. So I think that's a good combination between lower level air defenses and not super well protected. If you want to have them more protected, then you can get away with lower level air defenses, in my opinion. But yeah, get them up eventually. 3 gold storages, somewhat interesting. Personally, I don't even have my 3rd gold storage built yet, or upgraded at all, and I'm nearly ready to go up to Town Hall 9. Generally, it's not needed. There's nothing you're going to spend the gold on. So unless you're saving gold because all your workers are busy, there's no purpose at all to have 3 gold storages. And anyone who is Town Hall 7 going up to Town Hall 8, I'd recommend not building or even at least not upgrading your 3rd gold storage. You do have a Barbarian King, which our previous base does not have. Let's check levels of stuff. You got 1 level 6 mortar, 2 level 6 mortars, and a level 5 mortar. Interesting, your level 5 mortar is actually the most protected. See how it's sort of on the inner ring right here? Put your highest level mortars on the inside where they're more protected. Like especially these two. They're just so far out on the outside. In general, actually, you're going to want to upgrade these into a better position, I would say. I'd probably demote your Barbarian King, and perhaps demote your elixir storages, because it doesn't look like there's much in here. Yeah, with only 115,000 in this elixir collector or storage, they can only steal 25% of that. So they can only steal about 30,000, maybe 40,000 of that elixir, a bit under 40,000. That's not much at all. If you sort of put the 3 of these, one in sort of each corner or close to the corners, then you could promote the mortars to a better position, and I think that'd be a lot more effective. Alright, I've already talked about a lot of sort of different things, sort of very diverse. Let's talk very briefly about army, because you have a different army from that Mass Dragon that we saw. So this is sort of the army that I was imagining would be more typical at the lower trophy counts, especially. I mean, it's fine here at 1500 as well. But Infantry Giant, perfect for this trophy count. It's much more cost effective, it's much faster to train. And it's very flexible, and you can really adjust it on the fly. Add a couple wall breakers if you're having trouble with breasting into higher level bases. If they're trying to get after storages in the center, add a couple more wall breakers. Decide that you want more goblins, maybe cut out some barbarians. Then you can get after storages more easily. Decide that you want less archers or more archers so you can pick off buildings easier, or just say less archers because you want more giants or anything. That's fine. It's really easy. It's really flexible. There's no like one single way to do it. And yeah, definitely good. I like that. Good army composition. Mostly because it's just flexible and you can use it to attack in many different ways. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for Joshua's base. let's go on to the next one. Alright guys, here are with Blissey4U. He is a very maxed out Town Hall 8 base, and in his comment he does say that. He says, my base is almost maxed Town Hall 8, but I would like to upgrade walls before going to Town Hall 9, so how many walls to what level? Also, how would my base do against wall breakers? And then he also says his hidden Teslas that I can't see are level 6, so I can see that one, so that one's upgraded to level 6 as well. And the other two will be, one will be right here and the other's probably right next to it. So, interesting. Let's talk about the wall breakers first. You have a ton of compartments in your base. You have very much optimized what you're protecting, and you're very sort of cutthroat in kicking out your gold mines and elixir collectors, both of which the previous two bases weren't doing. They had at least some of them on the inside of the walls. So that means your base is automatically going to be much, much more centralized, and that's a good thing. Beyond that, interesting sort of design. Generally, wall breakers can do really, really poorly against this. One, the number of compartments. It just automatically helps a ton. Two, the way that the compartments sort of connect generally is pretty good. So, for example, this wall right here, if wall breakers target this corner, they can bust into these two compartments. But what's more likely to happen is they target this wall and only bust into this one, or target this wall and only bust into this one. It's very hard to make them actually target the center one. Another example is if they actually break into these two compartments, and probably this one. Say, where do they go next? Well, say they target here or here. This one right here, that's only going to bust into one compartment once again. If they target this one, they'll bust into two, but that'd be very unlikely to actually hit, because this wall would have to go down first, meaning they'd bust into these two. Basically, I'm not sure it's intentional, but it works really, really, really well, and I actually really like this design. Clan Castle in the center, perfect. Like I've said on every base so far, glad to see it. Giants in the Clan Castle, not so sure about this. They are level 6, which should help, and they'll do a good job tanking damage, but personally I'm really a fan of just archers and barbarians. Just more guys I find helps more than a couple higher level ones. Well, not really higher level, but just higher supply ones. Maybe a wizard. Wizards are always fun because they do splash damage against attacking units, which can really rip through infantry. But generally just archers is the way to go, so I'm not sure that was intended or not. I can definitely say that it's not really going to work well with your attacking army. Your attacking army is a lot of dragons. So sort of in a counterpoint to our first base that we saw, where they had 9 dragons that were level 2. Here we've got 8 dragons that are level 3. And then you're adding some other stuff in the mix as well. So very interesting to see this. I'm sure this is a very finely tuned strategy, and I'd actually be very curious to see this in action. Level 3 minions, archers, and 8 dragons. Interesting. So, obviously an air army. This army is much more suited for your trophy count than that previous all-dragon army was for that 1200 trophy count. So, I like to see this here. Not to say that, say, an infantry army or a giant mixed army couldn't be effective at this, but it's going to be a lot harder to be effective at up at 1800 trophies, nearly 1900 trophies, because you're going to be running into a lot of bases sort of like your own, very maxed out. Yeah, in case you guys didn't know, these level 6 wizard towers, maxed. These level 6 mortars, maxed. These level 10 cannons, maxed. Level 10 archer towers, all maxed as well. Yeah, you've even got these air defenses up to level 6, which is darn impressive, because that's both a slow and expensive upgrade, which I'm probably not even going to get before I go up to Town Hall 9. This sort of seems excessive to me. But yeah, wow, that's a good job with that. And, very maxed out base. You are level 85, which is not surprising. When you max out, you of course get lots more levels. Got a level 7 Barbarian King. Sort of like I was talking about in the last base, having your Barbarian King outside the walls, not necessarily a bad thing. While it is an important part of your defense, it's not sort of as critical as mortars, wizard towers, and especially the clan castle. The thing is, it's just so easy to draw off and surround. It attacks relatively slowly, so I don't mind to see this outside the walls. Compared to say a mortar or a wizard tower that's in the center, it'll generally fire for a lot longer, so be able to help out. Especially because they do splash too. And of course, Barbarian King does not do splash. Beyond that, let's talk about where your storages are, because it's sort of an interesting decision here. You've got 2 storages in the center, sort of cross area. 2 farther out from that, and it's still within range of the wizard towers. Then your gold storages are not, so you also have 3 level maxed out gold storages at level 11, and none of them very protected. So this tells me that you're probably optimizing your storages very effectively, and I bet that these are going to be relatively empty. And indeed, 13,000 gold is no gold whatsoever. In fact, honestly, if I was going to log off for the night at this and I wasn't sure I was going to get attacked right away, I would probably even swap my gold mines in for this, because if someone attacks a gold storage with 13,000, they steal 4,000 gold, maybe a hair more. They steal 4,000 gold from that. How long does it take your gold mine to get 4,000 gold? Not long at all. A bit more than an hour. How long until they can steal 4,000 gold? About 2.5 hours. So if you don't think you're going to get attacked in the next 2.5 hours, just put your gold mines in instead of your gold storages. Always an interesting little game to play right there. Beyond that, though, interesting stuff with the minions, especially. So I'm not really a fan of upgrading minions. I've heard they're good, though, so I think I might do it eventually. They're just so slow and so expensive to do in terms of Dark Elixir. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but I'd be curious to see how this army composition works out. It's really what I'm curious about. Beyond that, though, this base is really good. I really like it, and I think it would definitely do good against wall breakers. To answer your final question, maxing out walls. I don't think maxing out walls is really that critical. Yeah, I mean, the thing is they're just so darn expensive, and I don't think it's going to matter that much in the long run. That your walls currently, they're great against wall breakers, and wall breakers are going to be the main thing that's going to go through them. Adding a couple hundred health, while it would help, it would slow down your upgrading your town hall to the next level for a very long time. So yeah, I'm fine leaving your walls as a mix of 6s and 7s. Just upgrade them to 7s when you can, but don't worry about it. Level 8s are the maximum. They cost 500,000 gold per wall, as I'm sure you are aware. Just for everyone else out there, that's a lot, and I don't think that the 500,000 gold is really worth delaying your Town Hall 9 for. Spend the gold when you got it, but beyond that, I would just chill with the walls that you got. Alright, thank you very much for submitting your base. Let's go on to the next and final one for the subscriber base review. Alright guys, here with Atlas, our fourth and final Town Hall 8 base in this subscriber base review video. Now, if you guys were not picked in this video, stick around to the end, I'll give you some information. But here for Atlas, 2141 trophies, very impressive. You are a Town Hall 8 and you're only 75, which is interesting to see. You are not maxed out defense-wise, and it really goes to show that your upgrade levels really don't matter quite as much. It really comes down to playtime is the biggest factor. Defenses are part of it, and certainly don't hurt, but playtime can make up for a whole lot more than anything else. Alright, so let's talk about this. So first thing that strikes me right off the bat is the de-emphasis on mortars and the emphasis on air defenses. What do I mean by this? Your mortars are not in the center. Your wizard towers are not in the center. There it is. There's your last wizard tower. Your wizard towers aren't even maxed out. They're level 4 out of level 6. Oh, there's a 1-5. 1-5 over here on the right. Very interesting. This tells me that up here at 2100 trophies, I expect that you're seeing lots of dragon attacks, not a lot of infantry attacks, a lot of big heavy units, so probably golems, P.E.K.K.A.s, maybe not like sort of the maxed out armies that the top trophy counts use that are just like ridiculous armies, so mass dragon with lightnings and barbarian kings and here archer queens, but like a decent number of them. Enough that you're going to want to focus on different things. So what are you focusing on? Well, air defense is something that we have not seen so far, and you're focusing on protecting your air defenses, which means you're probably seeing lots of air attacks. Probably true, and I expect that this is a really good, appropriate response to it. Having your air defenses up to level 4 or level 5 is something that's good, and then centralizing them is definitely going to help out a lot. Teslas will be in the center as well. Teslas are the best against P.E.K.K.A.s because they do double damage against P.E.K.K.A.s, and only P.E.K.K.A.s. So that's why you'll see them in the center for high-level bases, because P.E.K.K.A.s are very common, and Teslas are very powerful against them, and just in general. Beyond that, Town Hall is inside the center, not surprising given that you are focusing on trophies here. Clan Castle is centralized, not quite in the center. That's fine. You want to keep it as centralized as possible. Not surprising to see that here, though. Level 6 archers, nice to see. I'm sure you've got a lot of level 9 and even probably some level 10 clanmates to help you keep those level 6 archers donated. Nice to see that. Let's see your army composition for a second. Looks like you're training it still. But you have, okay, 1 golem, 7 wizards, 3 P.E.K.K.A.s, and some archers. Not maxed out, so this is only about 75% full. But very interesting to see this because, yeah. So this is sort of the army that you're using at this trophy count, which is interesting to see. I'm curious if you have to spend gems or wait for resources, because this is both a very expensive army, as well as it's slow to train. So I'd be curious how effective it is to steal resources to try to afford it at this sort of trophy count. A while back, when I was up above 2000, which was months ago, honestly, it's been a long time, was when I was above 2000, the problem was finding enough resources. Perhaps that's changed, but back then, it certainly was not possible to be very cost effective when attacking. Just couldn't find the loot whatsoever. Beyond that, interesting design with the walls. That's going to be one thing I want to point out here. Notice this gap in the walls. Now, what's up with that? Well, there might be some air traps in there, but the main purpose of this is going to be to focus guys to not walk through there. Basically, units will not be interested in attacking these walls because there's nothing behind them. They're going to be much more interested in attacking the walls over here to get through here, or over here to break into here. Basically, you're funneling guys around your center trying to protect your town hall. Very interesting decision. I'm actually pretty sure that'd be really effective, so that's really interesting right there. Something I want to talk about real briefly. Compartments and compartment sizes. So you've got five units in this compartment over here. So that means you got 5 buildings in here. 2 storages, 3 defenses. Same thing over here, 2 storages, 3 defenses. This compartment right here is a bit bigger. It's got 7 in it. This one down here, it's got 1. This one up here, it's got... that's a big one as well. That's got 9 in it. Man, that's a big one. This one up here, it's got 3. In general, I would say you don't have to have small compartments. Like our previous base, you saw that it had lots and lots of small compartments. Pretty much everything was in its own one. And then in the center, there was like 5 together. And I think that was the single biggest. In this base, obviously a lot bigger compartments. I would generally recommend, though, keeping your compartments relatively even. If they are not even... then you should do so for a reason. And I think that that's actually what you're doing here. By keeping them not even, you can force your guys who are attacking to walk around and bust through where you want them to. So let's say a guy is busting through the top. So they destroy everything up here, bust into this mortar. Say they work their way down here. Because there's no compartment walls in here, this is probably a very conscious decision to force the enemies to walk down here. When they get down to here, what do? They're not breaking into the center. They're not breaking into this air defense. They're going to break into either here or here, both of which are sort of a waste of their time because it's not towards the town hall. Their best bet would be busting into here, but then they work their way around down here. And if they're infantry units, they'll just keep, or melee units, they'll just keep working their way down here all the way around, avoiding the town hall. So P.E.K.K.A.s, Barbarian Kings, Golems, that's what they're going to do. They're not going to focus on getting into the center that entire time. They're going to be taking Tesla fire from these guys in here. Very interesting to see that, and I'm sure that's actually intended for your strategy. If it's not, I would expect it works pretty effectively all the same. Now, though, on the outsides, it might not be quite as important. So having this wizard tower in its own compartment, I would say it really doesn't actually help that much. I would probably move these walls down some to make these compartments split up. I'd probably put about 3 in each. You could put these 3 in one, these 3 in the next, these 2 in one, and then these 3 in one. All those in their own compartments would make your base better against wall breakers by just spreading out the divider walls. In sort of the same line of thought, you could potentially use some of these walls up here to do the same thing. You might even think about moving some of your storages outside the walls, depending on how full they are. The gold looks like it has enough in it. Yeah, it does. So that's 250,000. So you won't want to do it to gold right now. Let's see how full your elixir is. So with only 50,000 elixir, you might want to consider doing that to your elixir. It's up to you, though. And what you can consider doing, move some of your storages outside or to a less protected area, so like just outside the walls. Take these walls, take these defenses, and sort of upgrade their positions into the walls into a better defensible spot. Alright, very interesting base. Nice to see that not maxed out Town Hall 8 base can go so high in the trophy count, and I expect you can go a lot higher. So you guys, let me know if you guys are Town Hall 8 and are a lot higher in the comment section. I'd be curious, which of you Town Hall 8s is the top trophy count at the moment. Beyond that, guys, everyone can let me know in the comment section, what level Town Hall should I do for my next weekend subscriber base review? This week, enough of you said Town Hall 8 and I haven't done it in long enough that I decided Town Hall 8 it is. Beyond that, guys, here's the question some of you really want to know. How can you be in a future subscriber base review video? Well, this is how you do it. Follow me on both Facebook and Twitter. I'll tell both of those sources when I'm going to be accepting submissions, and I'll tell you exactly how to do it. It might be through a Facebook post replying to a status, and it might be through a different method. A lot of you guys have said, I don't have Facebook, or I'm not 13, or I've deactivated my Facebook because I hate it. Yeah, I understand what you mean. I hate Facebook too. Currently, it's the best system. I'm currently working on getting a new system up, but it's not there yet. But I will tell you via Facebook and Twitter how to do it. So follow me on those sources. Beyond that, you can also check the description of this video, and I might have extra information how to apply on there. I will edit that description and try to keep it up to date. Alright, that's going to be it for this subscriber base review video, guys. Let me know what town hall I should do in the next subscriber base review video. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and even if you were not one of the guys picked, I hope you found something that was informative and interesting in this subscriber base review video all the same. Thank you very much for watching. If you guys have not subscribed, please do consider subscribing. This is a subscriber-based review video after all. And if you guys already are subscribed, please do show your support by liking and commenting on this video. It really does help my channel grow. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day. Clash on.